One of the hardest decisions you'll ever face as a director is knowing when it's time to close your limited company. Most directors hang on too long, and by the time they get advice, they've already put themselves at personal risk. So in this video, I'm going to give you 3 clear signs that it may be time to close and what to do if they apply to you. I get it. Listen, your business is your baby. You've put your blood, sweat and tears into it. The thought of closing it feels like failure. But here's the truth. Closing at the right time can protect your family, your house and your future. The directors who survive are the ones who act early, not the ones who wait until creditors force the hand. So in this video, we're going to cover the 3 warning signs it may be time to close, why ignoring them puts you at personal risk, and how to close properly without panic if you need to. Now, by the end, you'll know whether your business is in trouble and what your next step should be. So let's get into it. Sign 1, you can't pay your debts as they fall due. This is called the cash flow test, and it's the first legal test of insolvency in the UK. Now, if your company cannot pay its debts as they fall due, if you're constantly juggling payments, delaying your VAT, borrowing from Peter, robbing from Peter to pay Paul, that is a red flag, okay? If you're in a time to pay at the moment, guess what? At some stage, you was cash flow insolvent because you've not been able to pay that VAT bill on time. Now, why it matters is because once you know you can't pay your debts, your legal duty shifts. You must, listen, you've got to, number 1 priority is prioritise creditors, not you, not shareholders. And if you keep trading recklessly, you risk accusations of wrongful trading, and that can make you personally liable. Now, the lessons here are, if your business can't generate enough cash to cover basic payments, staff, suppliers, VAT, corporation tax, well, you're living on borrowed time, and it may be time to close before things get worse. And again, one of my biggest tips here, if you're a UK business owner, is are you getting timely management information? Are you understanding what money you're making every month? And the only way you can do that is a profit and loss, okay? There's some fantastic softwares out there, Sage, QuickBooks, Sage if you're a bit clever, but QuickBooks, Xero, Free Agent, dead easy to use. And have a bookkeeper who gives you something on a monthly basis telling you if you're making money or not. Dead important for you. Now, sign number 2 is your liabilities outweigh your assets. That is called the balance sheet test, and it is the second legal test in insolvency. And it's basically, does your company owe more than it owns? So look at your assets like stock, equipment, debtors, which is money you've got coming in, and you compare it to your liabilities. So that is all your creditors, tax, VAT, corporation tax, PAYE, loans, everything that you owe out. And if the debts are bigger than the assets, the company is also technically insolvent. Now, the risk that you've got is directors will often ignore this because things look okay sort of day to day. But on paper, you're insolvent. And if an insolvency practitioner later reviews your accounts, and they're going to ask you why you carried on trading. And that's where personal risk can creep in. Directors' loan accounts can cause a huge issue. I'm going to come to that in a minute. Obviously, personal guarantees. And in the worst cases, it's disqualification. Now, your lesson is, right, if your liabilities clearly outweigh your assets, and here's the key thing, and there's no realistic recovery plan, right? These are signs that it's perhaps time to close before the hole gets deeper. Now, sign 3. You are relying on short-term fixes, right? Now, for me, this test is not on paper. It's behavioural. Are you constantly relying on short-term fixes to keep the business alive? And that's things like you are pumping money in, personal money to pay company bills. You're constantly relying on time to pay arrangements, or you're not putting your returns in on time and you're hoping HMRC doesn't notice. Now, another one, you're continually asking for new payment terms with suppliers and you're ducking phone calls. You are avoiding that supplier that's ringing you. And if this is a daily, weekly or monthly reality, listen, it's not a strategy, survival mode. And the reason why it's dangerous is listen, we've all been there, right? We have all been there at times where we've got to duck and weave, right? We've got to okay, rob Peter to pay Paul. I just need to get through this because it's a quiet time, right? And this behaviour may buy you weeks and it might buy you months. But if you're not fixing the problem that's causing it, and the problem that's causing it is you're not making enough money, okay? And there can be 100 reasons why you're not making enough money, but if you can't pay your bills on time, it's a clear sign that you've got a bucket and there are holes in it. And the longer that you sort of bob and weave for these things, the more it increases your personal exposure because you've been insolvent and you've continued to trade. The longer that you keep papering over the cracks, the worse the eventual fallout will be if the company collapses. Now, if the only way your business is staying alive is through constant firefighting, that is a clear sign it might be time to close. But if you're going to do it, you need to do it in a managed and responsible way. Now, what to do if all these signs apply to you, right? So let's have a look at it. What should you do if 1, 2, or all 3 apply to you right now? Well, the first thing is get advice immediately. Do not bury your head in the sand. A licensed insolvency practitioner can explain your options in plain English. Now remember, I'm not an insolvency practitioner. What my job is to advise directors. I've been doing it for years and years and years. I've got hundreds and hundreds of Trustpilot reviews. And if you want me or one of my team to speak to you today, right, if we've caught your attention, go to the description, fill your details in that link at the top of the description. One of my team will call you today. Free independent advice, okay? Don't make things any worse, right? If you become insolvent, you've got to stop taking on debts that you know you can't repay. Honest to God, if you are going out there, continuing to get stuff off suppliers, continuing to rack up VAT bills, not pay PAYE, you're making your creditors' positions worse, okay? That's going to cause you issues personally. Stop paying one creditor over another. Now, this is a bit of a grey area, okay? So, at a high level, once you become insolvent, you're not meant to pay one creditor over another unless paying that creditor is in the interests of your company creditors. So the easiest explanation I have, let's say you've got some jobs to do and the customers are due to pay you more money and you have to pay a supplier to release some stock to finish that job off, and that job brings more money in the pot for creditors. That is a reason to pay that supplier. But if you're insolvent and you want to pay that supplier because you've just been mates with them for years and years, that is not a reason to pay them, and that is an area where you could get yourself in stuck, okay? It's called creating a preference, and it can be clawed back or it can be you that's made personally liable. Now, if all these options have sort of come to you and you're like, crikey, Chris, you've explained it in a way that's got my attention. I'm not saying that liquidation is the only option, right? There are different routes. Sometimes it is voluntary liquidation. Voluntary liquidation is a full stop. The business model doesn't work. You need to orderly wind down the company, and it finishes. It terminates agreements. It terminates staff. It terminates its leases. All those unsecured debts will go into the liquidation and they get written off. You're not held personally liable for them, okay? Even in them scenarios, you could potentially buy the assets back of the business. But if you're going to buy the assets back of an insolvent business and you're going to do it before you appoint an insolvency practitioner, you must get an independent valuation done on those businesses, on those business assets. And if you're going to buy them, you need to make sure that the agent recommends the sale price that you are buying them for. My suggestion is you then speak to the insolvency practitioner that you're going to appoint and try and get some terms to pay for the assets, okay? But sometimes it's administration. Like in amongst this business, there's some really good parts to it. But it's just weighed down by legacy debt. And administration is where you appoint an administrator, insolvency practitioner, same thing. And they have a wall of protection around that business when you're in admin. And they can either rescue the business as a trading concern, or they can sell parts of the business off so they get a better return to the creditors of the insolvent company. And when they're selling those parts off, it's highly likely they're selling them to the directors of the insolvent business. It's called a pre-pack, okay? And occasionally it's a CVA. CVAs are where you can, it's a formal insolvency process and you agree to pay all your debts back, all your unsecured debts over a period of time, generally 5 years. CVAs aren't for everybody. There is a lot of information that's required to make sure whether it's right for you. Again, the earlier you act, the more options you've got. And we get loads of people who act really early. And actually what they need to do is they just need to restructure things informally. You know, they've got arrears with HMRC, they've got arrears with creditors. And instead of going through an insolvency process, which is really the end, it must be avoided if you can, okay? What they're able to do is they're able to speak to HMRC. We give them an action plan. We help them prepare their cash flows. And we teach them what you can and what you can't do with HMRC. A time to pay arrangement is a very, very valuable tool because it's informal. Nobody knows about it. And it allows you to restructure your debts to HMRC over an extended period of time, sometimes years and years. But you've got to go to them with the right information. You've got to agree to time to pay arrangements that you know you're going to be able to stick to. And once you're in a time to pay arrangement, you've got to make sure that all your upcoming commitments to HMRC are paid on time. Sometimes it's just a case of maybe you actually need some financing. Maybe you have some assets there with lots of equity and this is a short-term problem and you need to refinance some equity out of those assets and pump it into the business. I mean, there's a whole range of options, right? But the signs that it may be time is you can't pay your debts when they fall due. Your liabilities outweigh your assets and you're relying on short-term fixes just to survive. If any of those apply, it is a warning sign that closing now, perhaps on your terms, may protect you better than waiting until creditors or the court force it. If you're a UK director facing these signs, do not wait until it's too late. Contact Director First today. We will help you understand your risks, we will guide you through your options, and we'll help put together a plan that may be able to reduce the issues against personal liability. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, right, I want you to go onto the playlist over here and I want you to click this video for more information about what to do before you close a limited company. Go and click it there. Thank you. Bye-bye.